Okay, well, our oils have been heated and are well incorporated, but they're at about 160, and our goat's milk and lime mixture is in the 60s. So we've got some time here that we need to wait for them to come to equal temperature or get at least 20 degrees apart. So I thought in the meantime, I would talk a little bit about fragrance oil. So there are two types of oils that you can use in soap: essential oils and then fragrance oils. So essential oils are the more natural products. So think lavender, peppermint, bergamot, orange, lemongrass. Those are some very common essential oils that are used in soap. As always, no child under 2 should ever have essential oil soap used on them. And my personal recommendation is no child under 5. And that's just based on my own research. So your other option, because essential oils, when purchased in a pure, reliable form, can be super pricey, is to purchase a fragrance oil. However, I will tell you, fragrance oils are not all created the same. So you do need to find a vendor that you know and trust that puts out the MSDS sheet right on their website, which is the material safety data sheet, which will tell you the ingredients, the concentration that it can be used in. And that's an important thing to know. So most soap recipes, unless it's for a specific fragrance oil sold by the recipe provider, they will just say, fragrance oil, because the expectation is you will visit the website from where you purchased those fragrance oils. You will look at the data safety sheet and you will determine what concentration is appropriate for the type of product you're making, because it varies. It's different for a liquid soap than what this is called cold process soap. It's different for a lotion or a lip balm. So you need to make sure you check. So this particular fragrance oil is called exotic coconut. And I hate coconut as far as eating it, but this smells amazing. And it's been wildly popular. The one thing to know about your fragrance oil, so you don't have a huge disappointment when you put all this work into your soap, is, does it accelerate? So when you add it to the soap, does it seize up very quickly? In which case you're going to do everything, add the fragrance oil at the last minute and pour it. So does it accelerate? Does it rice? So certain fragrance oils will cause your soap to form almost like rice granules. And let me tell you, if it rices, guys, run. I will not use any fragrance oil that rices. And then the third thing that you need to look at is, what is the vanilla or vanillin content, and does it discolor? Now, this particular fragrance oil is 4.3% vanilla. So it has coconut, vanilla, and a little bit of musk as a bottom note. So this soap is going to turn brown no matter how much you wish it won't. So as it cures, it might start out lovely and just looking exactly like you want. But as you can well imagine, as it turns brown, any color that you've put in it will also brunesse or turn brown or yellow, and it will be altered. So know what's in your fragrance oil. And I think the final thing I want to say about fragrance oils is, and I always have trouble saying this word, is it phthalate free? So it's PHTHLATE. So that is an ester or compound that enhances fragrances, makes them last longer. However, it has been determined to possibly be detrimental to health. So I only use phthalate-free fragrance oils. So I hope that wasn't too much information on fragrance oils. And I've never shared this with you, but this island is completely full of fragrance oils. And I even have tiered racks in there. I have so many. So it's very easy to get quite carried away. But remember, I do have a soap business, and I have been really actively selling my soap rather than just gifting or making it for personal use for the last 5 years. So that's how I justify my fragrance oil addiction. So when you measure out your fragrance oil so that you're not sadly disappointed, go to Walmart and get yourself a little, this is Anchor, is very inexpensive. Get yourself a little glass measuring cup. So it will eat through any type of plastic. I don't know what it is about fragrance oils that will do that, but they do. So you'll measure and you're like, okay, I'm all set. And you look over and all your fragrance oil has escaped through a ginormous hole in the bottom of your cup. So get yourself, you know, a nice glass container that you can measure. And it doesn't have to be this particular one. Even little shot glasses, if you're making small batches, will also work. And I'm going to take you into my soaping cabinet and show you all the different molds. But just for purposes of this video, this is a 1 pound mold. So you can see it will make, you know, 3 pretty good size bars. This particular silicone is highly, highly flexible. So it's really easy to get the soap out of. However, it does bow out a little bit in the middle when you make your soap. So you may want to use a heavier duty silicone mold if that bow bothers you. And this I just purchased on Amazon. And again, I'll try to leave some links below. I finally got my Amazon affiliate link thing fixed, I think. So, okay, switch gears a little bit and let's talk a little bit about colorant. So you don't have to put colorant in soap. When I make soap just for myself, sometimes I put color in it, sometimes I don't. I spoke on the last soap video about seeing things on YouTube that kind of made me go, so people using food coloring or using the colorant paste that you put in decorator icing. And guys, use the proper products. Don't take that shortcut. Micas and oxides are not that expensive, and you could really hurt yourself or someone else by using a non-body safe product. And just because you can eat it doesn't mean that you can put it on your skin too. That's something important to know. So there are 2 basic types of colorant. Oh gosh, what do I have in my mouth? Sorry about that. So we have the oxide, which is what I use for the camo soap. I'm not sure what I ate. Okay, so it's the chalkier, more opaque substance. It produces brilliant, beautiful colors. So that's a good thing to know. And then you have the micas, and this is called copper penny. Isn't this beautiful? So when you get ready to add colorant, you don't want to just stir that dry color into your soap because you will end up with clumps and chunks. And when you cut your soap, you'll have dots and all kinds of ugly things. So what I do is, you can use Dixie cups for this. I take little, I call them Dixie cups, little disposable plastic cups. And then you want to use sweet almond oil. And this almond oil is from Essential Depot. I think that it's available on Amazon. That is not where I purchased it. I think this came from Wholesale Supplies Plus. And I'm almost out, and thankfully more is on the way. So you want to pour a little bit. So for a 1 pound batch, you're going to put maybe 1/2 inch of oil in that little Dixie cup, and check your recipe, but it's usually about 1/2 teaspoon of the mica. Stir it really well and have it ready so when you start to make your soap, you don't have to go through all of that. And in the meantime, your soap is starting to harden on you. I think successful soaping is highly dependent on being very well prepared. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this video, is to give you a little broader knowledge base, but also show you, how can I set this up so it's not a stressful beat the clock kind of situation. So I'm gonna check my temps here again really quickly, and then I think we'll have enough time. We're gonna go behind the cat door, and I'm gonna show you my soap cabinet. Now, before I do, guys, I am not gonna win any prizes for the neatest soap cabinet. I have a lot of stuff in there, but it's really nice to have it all in one place. So don't judge my organization, but I just want to give you an idea about molds and different things that you might need to have on hand if you want to start making soap for family, for friends, even if you're thinking of starting a soap business. So hang tight, and I'll bring you back in just a moment after I get whatever's on my mouth off. Okay, we are back. So I'm showing you now my wonderful soaping cabinet, which is on wheels, that my wonderful neighbor made for me. And this is actually screen, like would be in your windows of your home. And the reason that it's done that way is because my initial thought was I could cure my soap in here. And in actuality, it turned into a storage cupboard, but still sometimes I will clear off a shelf if I have a lot of soap curing at once. So what I have here is my soap cutter. So while you can do it by hand, this has little thin piano wires that cut through the soap, and it makes nice even cuts. Your other option is to use a handheld soap cutter or a crinkle cut soap cutter. So sometimes I will do that if I'm just making a very small batch of soap. I have some stamps here. If you can see some raised stamps that I can actually use a rubber mallet and do an imprint into soap. I used to always put a honeybee. I had this one custom made for my business, and I used to always do that. But what I found is it didn't really improve the look of the soap, and sometimes I would crack a bar, so can't afford to do that and lose a whole bar of soap. This little device is a planer that you run your soap over, so it will cut off any bumpy edges and just make it look nice and clean. I have a variety of molds. I have some plexiglass molds. This is actually a 5-pound, very large mold. I have large silicone molds like this one. Other types of molds, let me scooch you down. This is probably the most common. This is a 3-pound, 10-inch silicone mold. These are tall and skinny molds, but they are very, very flexible, so they almost have to go into a box or something to prevent them from bowing. You can also pick up silicone molds that are seasonal. So this is a Christmas one. Here is a hard plastic mold that we used for our shower steamers. So some soap molds are also made in hard plastic. My preference is silicone. They're much, much easier to extract. One other kind of mold, and what did I do with it that we're actually going to use today? So hang on. Here we go. So this is a 2-piece mold. It is a gorgeous bar where you pour through the top here, and these rubber bands hold it in place. And then once it's sufficiently hardened, you will have just a lovely bar of soap. These are a little bit fussy to use and are really more advanced. So what I would recommend for starting out is getting a basic 10-inch mold or one of the little square molds like we're using for the 1-pound. I also have a lot of metal racks that I use for curing so air can get underneath. I've got my lye back here, my salt solution, lots of gloves. You do need gloves. And then over here, I just have additional fragrance oils, lots of my soaping supplies, like my extra 91% alcohol, some powdered goat's milk, which some of my bath bombs I use that, baking soda, tapioca flour for things like deodorant, bath bombs, lots of different oils, palm oil, lard. Down here's another kind of liquid coconut oil, citric acid for bath bombs. These jars are for candles. And then these little squirt bottles are for really heavy duty designs. So as you can see, it's quite easy to really accumulate a lot of different things for your soaping. One of the things I have done and love to do is felt soap. So you take wool And through a process, you encase a bar of soap, and then it's kind of your washcloth and your soap all in one, which I think is really cool. The designs take a little bit of time to figure out how to do. And I'm just saying that this might be part of the 1,000 subscriber / 4,000 viewing hour giveaway. So stay tuned for that. So let's head back in and we'll get to making our soap.